5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Our children are our future. Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, a man who is investing in young people by making all of them feel like top achievers. That's coming up.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. The pandemic is tough on all of us, but imagine our kids, what they're going through. Some of them are doing remote learning from home. They're isolated. We've seen studies that say that depression rates among young people is skyrocketing. To talk about that today, Lawrence Mann with the TOPACHIEVERS Foundation. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's a privilege and a pleasure.
Yes. Well, you have an amazing nonprofit and a heart for service, and you have a very interesting story about how this all began for you.
Yes, sir. 1996, my oldest son, Lawrence Jr., was diagnosed with a ventricular septal heart defect, meaning a little hole in a particular valve. And after taking him to the hospital, the doctor said he wasn't going to make it. He had a 50-50 chance. And at that time, I looked at my wife and said, baby, I can't relate that he's not going to make it. So the only way that I can look up is to God and say, God, okay, what do you want me to do? And I remember my mom telling me this story, and she was telling me that if life is going to hit you one day, it's going to hit you hard, but when it does, you make a vow to God and He'll bring you through whatever your challenges are. And so at that time, I made a vow to God, if He saved my son, I was going to dedicate my life to kids and health and fitness. And a week later, they took him off the lung bypass machine, the heart bypass machine, and the doctor said, we're just going to cross our fingers. And I just stayed true to my vow, and about 8 hours later, he opened his eyes, and that was the beginning of starting my whole career down helping kids, saving lives, and not just with from the heart surgery, but saving lives from the academics, saving lives from the economic disadvantage, and just saving lives.
And how's he doing today?
He's 31 years old, doing very well. He has a family of his own, and no heart defect, no problems. Matter of fact, he won in 2006, won a state championship in basketball, and was one of the key defining factors to help that team win and go over the edge.
Wow.
So he's doing great.
You must be so proud.
I'm proud.
So, well, I know you're a man of faith. How is it that you were called to help young people?
Well, a long story. Back in Detroit, Michigan,
which we're both from Detroit.
That's right. Motor City.
Instantly loved
the Motor
each other.
City, that's right. My first call was when I was scouring for a job when I was about 17 years old. And I went to a church called, I think, Westminster Church off of Outer Drive in Hubble. And I went in there just to ask someone to let me clean the lawn, let me do some janitorial work. And this young guy says, well, we may have an opening for you. And have you ever been involved with any camp or camp counselor? I'm like, no, from the hood, no camp counselor. But he said, I think you would be a good CIA, a camp counselor and assistant, and I want you to go to this camp. And my first camper was a kid named Jeff Hoffa. And Jeff Hoffa would be calling me, crying sometime about kids teasing him. And I would console Jeff. And I'm like, Jeff, what's the problem? Well, they're teasing me about my grandfather. I'm like, well, who was your grandfather? Who was your grandfather? He goes, Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, wow.
So I, helped Jeff just consoled him when kids were making fun of him, because there was a time where, his family was just devastated because they didn't know the whereabouts of their grandfather.
Sure.
So that was my first time really mentoring a kid and consoling a kid, was the Jeff Hoffa from the Hoffa family.
And I've had a chance to watch you on video interacting with kids. You just have an instant rapport with young people. Tell me how you're using that right now to help young people.
Well, I think whether it's academic, whether it's sports, kids are stressful. They're feeling like, okay, what do I do? How do I do it? They compare themselves with other peers. And I just come along and make them first feel valued, make them feel that they're important, and that build that trust and that respect. From there, we help find those passions.
Well, we've got some video that we're going to roll right now, and I want you to kind of take us through this. STEAM workshops. Now, STEAM is an acronym. What does it stand for?
Yes, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Okay.
And I call it STEAM AP because in the STEAM, science, engineering, arts, and math, I look for AP, athletic participation. So with all that being said, we can help find a kid's talent.
And are these after-school activities?
Yes, some are after school and some are weekend activities that kids can go to. But we have volunteers that working with me through the community to help serve kids.
Tell me, how has COVID impacted your nonprofit?
Well, COVID has impacted us because like the whole world stopped. And by using the facilities to house the kids and to work with them, we could not go into a facility. So we had to find different ways and creative ways to reach our kids. And we did that through online learning. And they call it now synchronous learning.
Okay.
And the synchronous learning is being in one location and having a facilitator with a group of kids learning the different content of the subject. But from the financial piece of our nonprofit, we suffered because we didn't have kids and we didn't have places to go.
Yes.
So that was a damper. So we had to depend on our gala to do fundraising once a year, which we had to pivot from going in person. We had to do a virtual gala this year, and it was very successful. But we suffered a little bit.
Well, the need is greater than ever before, and you keep coming up with unique ways to reach young people, hearts and minds, and
Yes.
esports is one of them. We're going to roll some video while you describe this. Tell us about your esports initiative.
Yes, the esports initiative was just, I caught up, one of my students caught me off guard and wished me happy birthday last year and said that she was just happy to reunite with me. And I said, what are you doing? And she says, well, I'm the CFO of the esports stadium in Arlington. And I replied, what is esports? And she said, you need to come and see it. And so after I started Googling esports, I realized that it was a pretty huge thing that was going on in the world. And it's part of digital marketing, which is a $123 billion industry. And so when I found that university was giving scholarships out for kids to learn esports, or kids that were good in esports like Yale, Harvard, MIT, I said I have to get into this space because it's giving more kids opportunities to go to college. And so with that being said, I went to the facility. They were impressed that Dara was a part, her name is Dara Avella, was a part of my program, and they said we want more employees like Dara. So what are you doing now to help kids? And I said, we're still doing the same thing. We're touching lives. We're still working with kids, middle school through high school. And that was something that they wanted to tap into, getting that age group into the esports industry, because it's a huge industry.
Well, and I've got to brag on Lawrence because you got the attention of not just Microsoft, but Frito-Lay.
Yes, sir.
And they put your face on a bag of chips. Now, I want you to explain this before we roll this clip. So what did they do?
So I got a call from one of my former students.
Yep.
And who works for the company, and he says, we're doing this big marketing campaign. We're scouring around the U.S. looking for individuals that made a difference and inspire others in their community. He said, Coach Mann, I'm going to put your name in the hat. And then he asked for my bio. He Googled some things that I was still doing in the community. And he says, we want to do a photo shoot. And if you're chosen, and we like your story, we're going to put you on 100 million bag of chips. So they put me on 3 bags of Lay's potato chips, man. That was the funniest thing in the world, man.
That is the coolest thing ever. So
it was cool.
We've got a clip. We're going to roll it up full. Go ahead.
Yes. Over here, yes, I'm here with my girl Rebecca. I met Rebecca probably in 3rd, 4th grade. Now she's hanging out with me in New York City. Lay's Smile program.
Smile.
Yeah, smile.
What do I look like? This.
That is so cool.
Yes.
All right, do you still have a few of those bags?
I still have a few bags, but that little girl, let me tell you about
Yeah.
something about Rebecca Tate. She's now in New York, and when they launched the campaign, I had to go to New York and did a photo shoot there, and it was pretty cool. But we had lunch, and I remembered this young lady when she was in 6th grade because she played basketball for me, and that's how I inspired her because she wanted to get on the basketball team. She said, Mr. Mann, I'm getting baptized next week. Can you baptize me? I'm like, I'm not an ordained minister. She goes, but at my church, people that have influenced our lives, people who have inspired, will be next to the minister, and you can dip me in the water and bring me out. And I'm like, that is so cool to have a young lady or just a kid to say, look, I think of you that much, and you inspired me that much. I want you to baptize me. So she's very, very. She's a high-powered executive for one of her companies in New York. And I'm so proud of Rebecca, but those are the relationships that I treasure.
Isn't that cool that sometimes you don't know exactly what kind of impact you're having on a young person until they come back to you as an adult and tell you.
That's right.
One of your honorees, we have a little clip, and let's roll that now.
I'm so humbled and honored to be receiving the Top Achiever of the Year award. And I couldn't have done it without my mentors, friends, and family that supported me along the way. Top Achievers has made such a huge impact on my life, and I didn't really even realize it until I reconnected with Coach Mann on his birthday last year. Looking back on my life, I still remember and still believe what he taught us. Think positive and you'll do positive, because it's truly that mindset that will allow you to achieve the unthinkable. My younger self probably wouldn't have even thought that I would be receiving this award today, but having a positive mindset and speaking your goals into existence will allow you to achieve anything. So I stand here proudly today to show you that future generations can be top achievers too.
Wow. That's so powerful. And I just got to say that I think that the need for organizations like yours has never been greater because of the pandemic, we have all of these issues that are happening in homes. Increased drinking, increased domestic violence. Some of these young people are really being threatened by an unstable home, and to have an outlet with a nonprofit like yours is vital to their success, isn't it?
It's very vital, and I think last year we launched out the esports program, and Microsoft was one of the companies that got behind us and said, look, we're going to help find a location for you guys to put this program on. And then the Arlington, or the esports stadium in Arlington, right now they're helping with the online part of the esports. But together, connecting with these kids, giving them an insight on, you know what, we can't see you face to face right now, but we can get online, we can make connections, we can do some gaming. But not just the gaming piece. We can have workshops on how to make the games. We'll have workshops on videography and graphic design, because we want to pique their interest and get them ready for college. College readiness is what we like to do for our kids. And if they keep their focus on the things that will brighten their future and give them opportunities, then I think they will keep their mind off of the negativity and the things that's hindering them right now.
Absolutely. Well, I love the way the Lord is working in your life.
Yes,
and,
yes.
2 Motown kids did okay.
Motown, that's right, that's right.
We're going to end with your website so people can get in touch. TopAchieversPlano.org is the website. Lawrence Mann, you have been an inspiration. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with my audience.
Well, thank you for being here, and it's a pleasure. And to have we call it homeboy, have a
Yes,
homeboy
sir.
from Michigan.
Yes,
People
sir.
ask this question: how do we make it out? It was it was the desire to do great things, and we're doing it now.
Absolutely. Well, God bless.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you, sir.
you.
All right. Okay. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.